My dearest, before I share what is weighing heavily on my heart, I ask that you take a moment to breathe alongside me. What I am about to reveal transcends mere narrative. It is not simply another apology or an impulsive confession born of emotion. This is the truth I have kept deeply buried for far too long, as though it has taken root within me. Despite every instinct urging me to shield you from it, to maintain a facade of smiles and pretense, I can no longer carry this burden. Especially when I see the belief in your eyes that I am a far superior, braver, and purer person than I truly am. The reality is that I am not the person you perceive, rather, I exist as a shadow of the individual you fell in love with. I have lived in fear that when you finally see the entirety of who I am, your affection for me will inevitably change. Do you recall the first time we conversed for hours, immersed in a moment that felt as if the world around us had vanished? How every shared laughter and glance seemed to solidify something unbreakable between us. You thought you had uncovered my essence at that time. Every quirk, every flaw, every flicker of light. Yet, what you were witnessing was a curated version of myself, the one I longed for you to encounter. Not the version that awakens in the early hours, contemplating how I arrived here. Not the half that is burdened by irrevocable decisions. Not the self that fears you may distance yourself upon learning of my past, my experiences that continue to ache with resonance today. I have traversed life as an actor, rehearsing lines and meticulously maintaining a polished exterior to disguise any internal fractures. With you, however, that facade grows more cumbersome as I long for you to know my genuine self. Unfortunately, the real me does not reflect the perfection, the unassailable strength you have been led to believe. The truth is, I have stumbled, broken promises, caused pain to those I cherished, and even turned my back on my own identity more times than I care to acknowledge. Your love for me remains steadfast, despite not knowing the sleepless nights I have endured, replaying moments I wish to erase. You have trusted me wholeheartedly, unaware of the moments when I, myself, could not find trust. You have offered your heart, ignorant of the scars that lie hidden within mine. Before you, I fortified my walls so high that even I could not glimpse over them. I convinced myself that pressing forward would allow me to shed my past mistakes and anguish. But love does not function that way, my dear. Love possesses a unique ability to unlock even the most hidden doors, and you have been the key to unearthing parts of me I believed were forever lost. Hence, revealing this truth feels fraught with peril, as once I articulated, there is no reverting to the image of me you previously held. The reality is that I have been more fractured than I have allowed myself to admit. In past relationships, I have caused others to shed tears, misled individuals in ways that have haunted me for years, fled from circumstances requiring my presence, and remained in situations that slowly diminished my spirit. I carry no pride in every segment of my narrative, and there are portions I never wished for you to discover. Nevertheless, I am committed to ceasing this concealment. I no longer want to play a role where you only love the finest facets of my existence. For us to forge something authentic, you must understand the parts of me that still ache, the wounds that still bleed, and the fears that murmur in darkness. Love entails enduring the storms, as well as celebrating the sunlit days. I am not requesting your forgiveness for my past or expecting your love to erase it entirely. Rather, I invite you to stand with me amidst the truth, to see me in all my imperfections, and determine if I remain the one you desire. There is no tactful way to articulate this, but I have carried a shadow in my heart that I have long endeavored to obscure from you. Each time your smile graced my face, I promised myself I would share my truth tomorrow, next week, or at a more opportune moment. Yet that moment eluded me, ensnared by my fear that the truth might distance us. I have donned a facade for years, even in your presence, the one person I wished to trust completely. Alas, I maintained this pretense longer than necessary, believing I was safeguarding you from my darkness while, in truth, I was shielding myself from the possibility of losing you. At times, I have been someone's hero, while at others, their greatest disappointment. I have battled in silence, enduring losses that I have not divulged to you. Scars from decisions made before our paths crossed, and some acquired after, burden my soul, choices I yearn to revise but cannot. I need you to grasp this, my love. I did not conceal these truths because you were unworthy of knowing them, I hid them because I deemed myself unworthy of your love. You have always perceived the best within me, the light, the qualities that fostered your belief in our connection. However, there exists another side to me, shaped by regret, moments of fragility, and choices I long to amend. I recognize that this revelation will irrevocably alter your perception. I have failed individuals I have cared for, walked away when I should have been present, allowed pride to outshout love, and stayed silent when I should have fought for what truly mattered. Every decision has left a lasting impact, and though I have matured since those days, the imprints remain. I have carried this weight like heavy stones within my chest, fearful that once you comprehend their significance, you may decide that you cannot share in my burden. Yet, love cannot be sustained on a foundation of half-truths, and I cannot expect you to continue loving merely the facets of myself that are easily embraced. If you are to love me, I require that you embrace all aspects of me, the broken, the healed, and the still healing. It is essential for you to understand that I am not a flawless man. However, I stand before you, devoid of excuses, willing to lay bare my truths, even if it frightens me. For if our relationship is to endure, it must not be constructed on assumptions of who you believe I am, it must rest firmly on the foundation of my genuine self. Should you choose to accept me after knowing all my truth, I will find assurance in our resilience. Conversely, if you cannot accept me, at least I will have the comfort of knowing that I have been honest with you. I have carried this truth like a heavy stone in my chest for so long that at times, I forget what it feels like to breathe without its weight pressing down. Every moment we've shared, every laugh, and every late-night conversation has been based on the parts of me I decided to reveal. Yet, in the silent hours when you were not present, I often stood before a mirror, struggling to identify the man looking back at me. You may think you know me through my affection, my loyalty, and the tenderness I offer. But there exists a darker narrative lurking beneath the surface, one I never allowed you to discover. Not out of distrust, but from a desire to prevent you from viewing me in a different light. I have caused others to weep themselves to sleep. I have been a tempest in times of their struggle. I have made poor choices in companions while overlooking the right ones. I have turned away from reaching hands, afraid of the vulnerability that true connection entails. There were moments when I played the victim, although in truth, I was the one retreating before I could face abandonment. Some of those decisions left marks that remain indelible, no matter my attempts to erase them. This is the man I have kept hidden from you, the man I feared you would not want to know. However, through my experiences, I have learned that pain alters a person, but it does not have to obliterate them. Each wrong path I have taken, every heart I have broken, has forged me into someone who can genuinely appreciate what I share with you. I do not wish to be the man who loves you only partially, cloaked behind defenses while hoping you never glimpse beyond them. I desire to stand here, open and vulnerable, and share the truths that terrify me, for perhaps this will allow you to grasp the full measure of my love. You deserve honesty, not the polished facade I present to the world, but the unrefined, authentic reality of my being. If, after hearing all of this, you still choose to love me, I will devote my life to ensuring you never regret that choice. Understand that this moment is my commitment to honesty, one I have postponed for far too long. Because as daunting as it is, losing you to a lie would wound me far more than losing you to the truth. Each time I gazed at you, I pondered how long I could maintain my facade before the truth seeped through the cracks. I would hold your gaze, memorizing how your eyes softened with your smile, wondering if you would look at me the same way if you knew. You have seen the man who assures you of your safety, who promises to never harm you, and who pledges to choose you above all else. Yet, you have not encountered the man who has disappointed others without recognizing it. The one whose pride overshadowed his love and whose silence impaired what could have been salvaged. The one who found it easier to walk away than to confront the mess he had created. I never intended for you to meet that version of myself because I have fought so hard to suppress him. However, suppressing a part of oneself does not erase it, it only increases the burden. And I have carried this weight into every embrace, every kiss, and every whispered word in the dark. You have extended your love to me without fully knowing the entire narrative, and that realization pains me. I regret making you invest your heart in a man who has only shared fragments of his own. I once believed I was shielding you from the truth, but now I recognize that I was actually protecting myself from the fear of how you might perceive me. Nights have been spent replaying moments from my past, a film reel of broken promises and faces I have let down, convinced that I had changed, which in many respects I have. Yet, the anxiety that you might view me through the lens of my past mistakes has suffocated me. The longer I withheld this, the larger it loomed, until it reached a point where I felt I had to either tell you or risk losing myself entirely. Perhaps you will hear this and decide to walk away, or conclude that I am not the person you believe me to be, that our love is insufficient to withstand the shadows of my past. But if you choose to stay, if you truly wish to continue this journey with me, I promise you something I have never vowed to anyone else: no more half-truths or concealment. You will have the entirety of me, including the parts one struggled to accept. I would rather risk losing you through honesty than keep you through deceit. The truth I am about to share is not solely about the man I used to be, it reflects the man I am when no one is watching. You have witnessed my light, but you have not seen me in my darkness. I do not refer to minor flaws or quirks, but to the long nights I spent alone, staring at the ceiling, haunted by my mistakes, like a song on an endless loop. The reality is that I have feared your awareness of my entire being, worried that your love might diminish upon seeing the complete picture. I convinced myself that it was best to keep only the most admirable versions of myself on display. Yet, love built on half-truths is not genuine love, it is mere performance. There were moments when I attempted to open up, but words would catch in my throat, fearing they would shatter the image you held of me. You, the one I have feared disappointing the most. You think I have been strong for you, yet the truth is, you have been the strong one, unwittingly supporting this relationship while bearing my burdens as well. You have placed your trust in me, all the while oblivious to the fact that trust was something I felt I did not deserve. And here lies the greatest pain. The man you have been falling for is indeed a fragment of me, but he is not my entirety. There are scars I have concealed, not out of shame that you might see them, but out of fear that you might feel them as well. There are decisions I have made, selfish and reckless choices, I have never voiced out loud. The longer I kept them hidden, the more I realized that I was not permitting you the opportunity to truly choose me. How can one truly choose someone without knowing every truth that has shaped them? But I am finished with hiding. The truth is, I want to discover the depths of your love. I want to know if it is resilient enough to hold me when I am stripped of every facade. I stand before you, ready to reveal my flaws and mistakes, and I hope you will still take my hand. If you are willing and able, I assure you that you will come to know the authentic me, unrefined, unfiltered, and raw. No more disguises or feigned identities, simply me, hoping that you will still find something within me that is worthy of your affection. You may believe that you have loved my honesty, yet the reality is that you have only fallen for the version of myself I permitted you to witness. I have allowed you to hold my hand in the light but have kept you at a distance from the darker corners of my thoughts. You have felt my skin, but you have not encountered the fears that lie beneath it. I have shared my triumphs with you, while my defeats have remained locked away, concealed as if they were too perilous for you to confront. I convinced myself that I was protecting you from the burdens of my past, yet deep down, it was really myself I was shielding from the fear of your possible departure. I have played this role so convincingly that at times, I too became convinced of it, a smiling facade masking the turbulence within, laughter veiling the agonizing memories that haunted me. You thought you were loving a man who had it all together, but in truth, you were loving someone striving to piece himself back together before he could inadvertently hurt you too. There were countless moments when I yearned to disclose everything to you, to unveil every scar and transgression, yet the fear of your altered perception silenced me. I believed I was safeguarding our love, but in reality, I was starving it. True love is not forged during moments of brilliance, it is tested during times of collapse. Yet, I have never allowed you to see me crumble. I have never revealed the side of me that awakens at night in a cold sweat from inescapable nightmares, nor the side that freezes at the utterance of certain words. Those very words transport me back to a place I vowed I would never revisit. I have concealed from you the way I incessantly chastise myself for past mistakes, ones made years ago. You have been enamored with my armor rather than my wounds. But this declaration is not intended to push you away, rather, I cannot continue living as a man who hides from the only individual with whom he truly wishes to share himself. If you are to love me, then I must be wholly yours, the light and the dark, along with every shade therein. I seek not your pity, but rather a chance to construct something impervious to secrets, and an opportunity for you to choose me, fully aware of who I am, even in the shadows. If you still choose to take my hand after hearing this, perhaps I will finally accept that I am deserving of love in my entirety. Each time I gazed into your eyes, I longed to reveal the truth. I wanted to dismantle the walls and allow you to perceive the fractured boy hidden behind the man you believe you know. Yet, the very words that surfaced in my throat were drowned by fear, pulling me down like an anchor. I kept telling myself, not now, they are not ready. In truth, I was the one unprepared to witness the shift in your gaze or to jeopardize the way you grasp my hand or lovingly utter my name. And thus, I chose to isolate myself, expertly providing just enough of myself to cultivate closeness, but not enough to risk you comprehending the entire narrative. This has been my grave error, for genuine love cannot thrive in obscurity, it necessitates illumination and exposure. I have been depriving our love of this very essence. You have been constructing a life with a version of me that has been refined, with only the safe parts revealed. But what of the dangerous fragments? What of the edges that may cause you harm? Do you still wish to embrace those? Because therein lies the truth of who I am. I have made mistakes, significant ones, not the sort that can be forgiven and forgotten, but those that haunt one's consciousness. They are the experiences that awaken one at 3 a.m., questioning their worthiness of the love being received. I have disappointed those who did not deserve such treatment, opted for silence when I should have spoken, and fled when I should have remained. The gravest sin of all has been my refusal to share those moments with you. I only allowed you to witness the man I became once I had cleansed my hands of the evidence. Love should not only encompass loving me at my finest, it must include embracing me at my most unlovable. You have always been candid with me, unreserved in your willingness to expose your cracks, fears, and insecurities. I mistook my reluctance to reciprocate as an act of protection towards you. Yet, in reality, I was fostering a chasm between us that you could not address, simply because you were unaware of its existence. And now I stand before you, metaphorically, yet wholly exposed, and I am frightened. Frightened that you will perceive me differently, that you will question the existence of the man you love. More than anything, I fear losing you without ever giving you the opportunity to understand the entirety of who I am. The truth is, I am still in the process of becoming the man you envision. I am striving to be deserving of the love you have bestowed upon me so graciously. To achieve this, I must cease my concealment, I must allow you to witness the facets of myself that I have kept hidden. If you can still love me once you see these parts, if you can still look at me and recognize someone worth fighting for, then perhaps, for the first time in my life, I will begin to believe in my own worthiness. Perhaps. Ultimately, I am a work in progress. Far from perfection, indeed, I am not even close. But I am yours, should you still wish to claim me. And if you take my hand now, fully aware of the weight it carries, I promise you will receive all of me, not merely the secure parts. While you may think you grasp my story, in truth, you have merely held fragments of it, ensuring that each piece given was smooth enough to avoid injury. I convinced myself that this was love, protecting you from my deepest vulnerabilities. But, in reality, it was fear that revealing my true self without armor would drive you away before I could articulate the reasons for my prolonged concealment. Years of perfecting the version of myself you encountered have passed. Although that individual remains real, he is not the complete narrative. You have witnessed the smiles, the charisma, and the sensations of safety in my embrace. But you have not seen the sleepless nights tormented by the specters of my thoughts, nor the moments I stood before a mirror, unable to meet my own gaze due to self-reproach for choices made. I was not always this guarded. There was a time when I loved impulsively, spoke freely, and trusted without hesitation, and that nearly led to my demise. I offered my heart to those who exploited it as currency, and when it became depleted, they abandoned me in ruin. Every unseen scar serves as a reminder of when I placed my faith in someone who failed to reciprocate it. When you entered my life, radiating your brilliance, I unconsciously made a vow: no one would witness my frailties. Yet, therein lies the conundrum: I confused vulnerability with honesty. I believed that concealing my suffering would make me stronger, when in truth, it simply erected a barrier between us that even your love could not surmount. Deep down, I know you sensed it, that intangible space between us that lacked a name. You have likely questioned whether it was something you did or did not do. But I assure you, it was never about you. It was I who stood in the gateway of my own heart, permitting you to enter just enough to feel a sense of closeness, yet withholding access to the parts of me I keep hidden away. I am now coming to the realization that a love like ours cannot endure under such limitations. It becomes stifling within the confines I have constructed. There are things I must share with you, truths that may alter your perception of me. I have caused pain to those I vowed to protect. I have fled from love when its weight became too burdensome. I have often chosen the path of least resistance instead of the path of integrity, more times than I am willing to admit. In moments of fear of abandonment, I have unintentionally pushed people away to regain control over the timing of our separation. Should you learn the entirety of my narrative, you might question how I could possibly be deserving of the love you have bestowed upon me. That thought fills me with dread, for I am uncertain of my worthiness, yet I yearn to become worthy of you. I stand here now, ready to embrace the risk I have long avoided. I am prepared to reveal to you the man behind the facade, a man with flaws that could consume us both if we are not cautious. Yet, I believe in you. I believe in how you perceive me, in the way you inspire me to strive for betterment. I hope that, if I fully open myself to you, you will choose to remain. You will fight for me, even when I struggle to fight for myself. If you still wish to be with me after this, you will be loving not merely the man you thought I was, but the authentic man I truly am. That is the only way our love can genuinely thrive. I know you have been waiting for me to reveal everything, but truth is not a simple confession, it is a story entwined with years of choices, mistakes, and moments I would gladly rewrite. Each time I attempted to convey my truths, the words caught in my throat, for I could already foresee the possibility of how they might change your view of me, a thought more terrifying than any other. I have lived with this shadow for so long that it feels inseparable from my being. Yet, I have learned that allowing shadows to linger only grants them control over our lives. You deserve to know the real man whom you have entrusted your heart with, not the curated, polished version, but the raw, unedited truth of who I am. When we first crossed paths, you evoked feelings I had not experienced in years, feelings of safety. Not the safety a locked door offers, but the comfort that feels like home. That is why I endeavored so hard to portray perfection. I did not want to give you a reason to leave. However, striving for perfection meant concealing the less appealing aspects of myself, the temper I struggle to tame, the regrets I bury so deeply that I often forget they exist until they resurface at night. I mistakenly believed that love consisted solely of presenting you with my finest qualities. I now understand that true love involves allowing you to see me in my entirety, including the parts that frighten me. I have played the hero in some narratives, but I have also been the villain in others. There have been times when I uttered words I cannot retract, moments when silence spoke louder than my heart, and instances when I turned my back on those in need because I lacked the courage to support them. Most painful of all, some of those individuals loved me as you love me now. I have frequently reassured myself that I have changed, that I have matured, yet the past has a way of whispering to me, reminding me that I still harbor remnants of my former self. This has led to an internal battle against the version of me that caused unintentional harm, that retreated from love because it felt overwhelmingly heavy. When you first touched my hand, something within me shifted, a sensation so daunting that a part of me craved to flee once more. But this time, I remained. That choice has slowly taught me that perhaps I can write an entirely different ending this time around. Yet, staying does not equate to being completely honest. There remains much you must know about who I am and why I have hesitated to allow you full access to my world. Once I share my truths, you will have a decision to make, to walk away from the real me or to stay and fight for him. I cannot guarantee ease in this journey, but I assure you that if you choose to stay, you will never again have to question who you are truly loving. I need you to listen intently, without diverting your gaze, for this is the moment when the walls I have erected begin to fall. Until now, you have only seen me through carefully chosen glimpses. I am about to open the door wide, and what lies beyond may not resemble the man you believed you knew. I have worn masks so convincingly that at times, even I forget they are merely masks. Smiles that have concealed sleepless nights, confidence that has masked quiet self-doubt, laughter that has drowned out the echoes of my transgressions. You have loved the carefully curated version of me, and to some extent, I have selfishly allowed you to maintain that belief out of fear that you would walk away from the truth. The reality is, I have embodied both the storm and the sanctuary. I have been the reason someone has lost sleep in tears, and I have also been the reason someone felt safe enough to rest. I have spoken at the most inopportune times and remained silent when my words could have brought healing. I have been loyal in ways you would respect, yet careless in manners that would give you pause regarding my heart. I bear the burden of those contradictions every single day. Every time you gazed at me with unwavering faith, believing I could never let you down, the weight of that expectation grew heavier. You cannot fathom how many times I have sat, phone in hand, poised to confess my past, to share how I have faltered before, how I have broken promises, and how there are individuals who could recount stories about me that would make your heart race in panic. Yet, each time I deleted those words, fearful that revealing the truth might transform your image of me into that of a stranger. I did not wish to take that risk until now, until I understood that loving you while hiding from you is not true love at all. I have always feared losing people, but with you, that fear takes on a different dimension. It is not simply the prospect of losing you, it is the anxiety of losing the way you perceive me. But if we are to endure, I cannot allow you to love a fabrication. Thus, I shall continue to speak. Even if my voice trembles, I will express the parts of me that do not depict me as the hero. For if you can love me through my vulnerabilities, perhaps this time I have truly discovered a love that is authentic. And when I conclude, I will not ask you for any promises. I will only ask you to decide, will you love the man I genuinely am, or will you let the idealized version of me slip away? In either case, you will possess the truth, and I will no longer have to conceal myself behind a facade intended purely to protect my heart. I know you have been anticipating the moment of clarity, the instant when the fog between us dissipates, allowing you to truly see me for who I am. Yet, I must share the part one have dreaded voicing, rehearsing countless times in my mind, yet never allowing to pass my lips. You have been loving a version of me that has been carefully edited, refined, and selectively framed to mask the shadows. I have permitted you to embrace the light without revealing the fractures where it struggles to shine. Each time you regarded me with unwavering faith, believing that I could never disappoint you, it has felt like a dagger twisting in my heart, for I have known the truth I have hidden from you. The truth is, I am not without blemish. I have navigated paths that I hope remain untraveled by anyone else. My choices may lead you to question how I can stand before you to profess my love. I have contributed to the erosion of someone's trust, and I have turned my back when my presence was needed the most. Yet, paradoxically, I have also been the one who remained when others departed. I have chosen to protect, even when the odds were against me, and I have given more than I possessed because it was the right choice. I embody a blend of errors and healing, a contradiction that I have never allowed you to witness in its entirety. You have only seen the chapters one chose to share, the triumphs, the tender moments, the aspects that portray strength. However, there exists an entire section of my story that has remained under lock and key, as I feared exposing it would alter your perception of me. I have concealed the times I lost sight of myself, when my pride coerced me into silence, when I feigned indifference to hide my pain. Perhaps you are curious why I choose to share this now. It is because I have come to a realization: if you love me without knowing my full truth, I am not truly allowing you the opportunity to love me as I am. What I offer is merely an illusion of choice, and that is not the essence of enduring love. So here it is, unfiltered and raw. I have been selfish, I have been fearful, and I have displayed cowardice in moments when I should have demonstrated courage. Yet, I have been learning, battling my inner demons, and evolving. Every step I have taken since our paths crossed has been a step toward becoming the man you deserve. I cannot guarantee perfection, but I assure you honesty, even when the truth is difficult and may jeopardize everything. If you can hear these words and still perceive me, not as the flawless individual you once thought I was, but as the imperfect soul standing before you now, then perhaps what we share is stronger than I ever envisioned. If you can embrace my truth while holding on to my hand, then this may not signify the end, rather, it could be the genuine beginning of something profound. Or perhaps it is the moment where everything I believed about myself crumbles before me. I am uncertain because, for an extended period, I have been playing a role, not out of a desire to deceive you but because I feared that revealing my authentic self, with all its broken fragments and concealed shame, would drive you away. I believed you needed the resilient version of me, the one who always knows the right words, who never wavers, who conceals the turmoil within. But the reality is, that storm has been raging for years, and now I stand before you unmasked, terrified that you will see too much, that you might look at me and say, I no longer recognize who you are. Perhaps you never truly did. I have borne this burden that has influenced every word I have spoken to you, every decision I have made regarding us. It has prompted me to withdraw when you drew nearer, to fall silent when you sought answers. I have dreaded exposure, fearful that you would uncover doubts about my worthiness of the love you extend so freely. A shadow has trailed me for years, forged by mistakes made long before you entered my life, promises broken to those who had faith in me, and moments when I opted for the easier route rather than standing firm for what was right. I feared that should you glimpse that version of me, you would walk away without looking back. Yet, every time I tried to shield it, you would gaze at me with those eyes that penetrate through every barrier I erected, and it frightened me. It frightened me because it made me realize that you likely sensed there was more to my narrative and perhaps you were simply awaiting my disclosure. So here it is, the truth. I am not the person you believed you fell in love with. I have been fractured. I have been self-centered. I have been reckless with the hearts of others, including my own. At times, I revert to that person when fear overrides my better nature. But I am also the one who, since meeting you, has committed to striving for improvement, fueled by your inspiration to transcend every fragment of my past. I recollect the first night I recognized my love for you, not a fleeting moment of attraction or intrigue, but a realization of your potential to transform my life. It happened quietly, almost mundane. You were laughing at something trivial, a genuine laugh, unfiltered and true. I remember thinking that if you could ever look at me with such warmth, I would willingly offer every aspect of my existence. Yet, I was aware of the risk involved. Loving you would necessitate letting you in close enough to witness the facets of me I wish to keep concealed. Now, as I stand here, stripped down to the truth, I ask if you can still love me after knowing this. Do you recall the instances when I distanced myself for no apparent reason? When you'd send me a thoughtful message and I'd leave it unanswered for hours? It wasn't due to a lack of care, but rather an overwhelming sense of caring without the understanding of how to respond without allowing everything to overflow. I would find myself staring at my phone, words seized in my throat, terrified that if I uttered the wrong response, you would see through my facade, realizing I was not as composed as I portrayed. Perhaps those moments weren't about your missteps, but were rooted in my own overwhelming fear. A part of me wishes I could return to the beginning and disclose everything from the outset, yet I recognize that had I done so, we might not be standing here today. You may have deemed me too intricate to handle, or perhaps you would have loved me just the same, as you consistently do. That is the beauty of you. You have never demanded perfection, only authenticity. And here I am, finally offering that to you, even if it means relinquishing everything. The truth I have concealed isn't merely about my past, it encompasses my heart, my sentiments, and how profound my love for you extends. At times, loving you feels both like the safest harbor I've ever known and the most perilous endeavor I've ever undertaken. I am acutely aware that in losing you, I wouldn't just lose someone important to me, I would lose the one person who perceives the potential in me, transcending who I once was, a loss from which one can hardly recover. Hence, I implore you, not as the version you first encountered, but as the true man I am. Can you still love me after this revelation? Can you gaze upon me and recognize the same soul you cherished before this moment? Standing here, hands trembling, heart fully bared, I know that whatever unfolds next will redefine everything. Although fear grips me, I felt compelled to share this with you. You deserve the unvarnished truth. Perhaps, just perhaps, I deserve the opportunity to be loved for who I authentically am. I wish I could articulate this without my voice betraying me, without the weight of vulnerability caving in on me. Yet, each time I meet your gaze, I understand you deserve the truth, bare and authentic. For too long, I have borne this weight, shaping the way I breathe, move, and express my love for you. You have only glimpsed those facets of me I felt secure sharing. There exists an entire dimension I have shielded, fearful that its unveiling would irrevocably alter your perception of me. However, I am also aware that if I do not reveal all of this now, it will gnaw at me from within. There have been days when I yearn to reach out to you, to share the chaos of my thoughts, to confess that the assured persona you see often masks me skirting the shadows of a past that is immutable. Instead, I would don a smile, send something light-hearted, and hope you would miss the darkness lurking between the lines. I believed I was shielding you from my turbulence. However, I've come to understand that I was merely constructing a barrier between us. This wall, regardless of how I adorned it with joyful moments and laughter, ultimately kept you from experiencing my authentic self. I have inflicted pain on others before, not always intentionally, but sufficiently for guilt to linger as a constant shadow. I've made promises I failed to honor, opted for silence when I should have advocated for someone, and walked away when I ought to have remained. The reality is, I never wished to behave that way with you. This is why I concealed my truth. I didn't want you to perceive me as someone who was capable of disappointing you in the same way. I believed that if I could keep you convinced of my most admirable traits, you would never question my worthiness of love. Yet, genuine love, the kind I've exclusively experienced with you, cannot thrive on half-truths. It requires the entirety of my messy, imperfect, and unfiltered truth. This is what I am finally prepared to share with you. You may have sensed it, the way I occasionally gaze at you, as if I am attempting to memorize every detail. Beneath the surface, I have feared that you would leave if you uncovered too much about me. I've closely observed your gestures while you speak, the slight tilt of your head as you listen, the way you smile when you're trying to suppress it. This was because I feared that one day, I might have to exist without it. That dread has been exhausting, dear. It has drained me. I refuse to let it dictate my actions any longer. This is who I am, flawed, stubborn, sometimes fearful, but loving you more profoundly than I have ever loved anyone else. I find myself overthinking every word I express to you because I yearn to get it right. At times, I withdraw, not out of indifference, but because my care for you runs so deep that I fear saying something incorrect. I've envisioned a future with you in my mind, even during moments when I pretended not to think that far ahead. Yes, I am someone with a complicated past, with scars that still sting and regrets that keep me awake at night. However, I am also ready to stand here, completely vulnerable, and ask you to love me with full awareness of all of this, not in spite of it. Perhaps that is the most daunting aspect. I have let down those I care for, stepping away when I should have stayed, letting pride drown out love, and remaining silent when I should have fought for what truly counts. Each choice I made has left a significant mark, and despite the growth I've achieved since those times, the scars remain. I carry this burden like a load of heavy stones in my chest, worried that, once you grasp their weight, you might find it too much to bear with me. Yet, love cannot thrive on a foundation of partial truths, and I cannot expect you to love only the easier parts of my being. If you are to love me, I need you to embrace all of me, the flawed, the healed, and the still healing. It's crucial for you to understand that I am not a perfect man. Yet, I stand here before you without excuses, ready to reveal my truths, even if it terrifies me. For our relationship to flourish, it cannot be based on the assumptions of who you think I am, it must be rooted in the reality of my authentic self. Should you choose to accept me after knowing this truth, I will find comfort in our resilience. Conversely, if you cannot accept me, I will at least find solace in knowing that I was honest with you. I have carried this burden for so long that sometimes I forget what it feels like to breathe without it weighing me down. Each moment we've shared, every laugh, and each late-night conversation has stemmed from the parts of me I chose to reveal. However, in the quiet moments when you were absent, I often stood before a mirror, struggling to recognize the man reflecting back at me. You may believe you know me through my affection, loyalty, and kindness, but a darker narrative lurks beneath the surface, one I never allowed you to see. Not out of distrust, but from a desire to shield you from my complexities. I have caused others pain, I have been a storm during their trials, and I have made poor choices in relationships while neglecting the right ones. I have turned away from reaching hands, afraid of the vulnerability that genuine connection demands. There were moments I played the victim, though in reality, I was retreating before I faced the fear of abandonment. Some of these decisions left marks that remain, no matter how hard I try to erase them. This is the man I have concealed from you, the man I feared you wouldn't want to know. Yet, through my experiences, I have learned that pain transforms a person, but it need not destroy them. Each wrong turn I've taken and every heart I've broken has shaped me into someone who can truly value what I share with you. I do not wish to be the man who loves you only partially, hidden behind defenses while hoping you never see beyond them. I want to stand here, open and vulnerable, revealing the truths that frighten me, for perhaps this will allow you to grasp the full extent of my love. You deserve authenticity, not the polished facade I present to the world, but the raw, unrefined reality of who I am. If, after hearing all of this, you still choose to love me, I will dedicate myself to ensuring you never regret that decision. Know that this moment marks my commitment to honesty, one I have delayed for far too long. For as daunting as it is, losing you to a lie would wound me far more than losing you to the truth. Every time I looked at you, I wondered how long I could maintain my pretense before the truth broke through. I would hold your gaze, memorizing how your eyes softened with your smile, questioning whether you would see me the same way if you knew. You have seen the man who assures you of your safety, who vows never to harm you, and who promises to choose you above all else. Yet, you have not encountered the man who has disappointed others without realizing it, who allowed pride to overshadow love and silence to hinder what could have been mended. The one who found it easier to walk away than confront the chaos he created. I never wanted you to see that version of me, for I fought hard to suppress him. But suppressing a part of oneself does not erase it, it only amplifies the burden. And I have carried this weight into every embrace, every kiss, and every whispered word in the dark. You have given me your love without fully understanding the entire story, and that realization pains me. I regret making you invest your heart in a man who has only shown you fragments of himself. I once believed I was protecting you from the truth, but I now understand that I was really guarding myself against my own fears of how you might perceive me. Countless nights have been spent replaying moments from my past, a film reel of broken promises and faces I've let down, certain I had changed, which in many respects I have. Yet, the dread that you might view me through the lens of my past mistakes has confined me. The longer I kept this hidden, the bigger it loomed, until I reached a point where I had to either tell you or risk losing myself entirely. Perhaps you will hear this and decide to leave, or conclude that I am not the person you believe me to be, that our love isn't strong enough to withstand the shadows of my past. However, if you choose to stay, if you genuinely wish to continue this journey with me, I promise you something I have never offered to anyone else: no more half-truths or concealment. You will receive the entirety of me, including the parts one finds hard to accept. I would rather risk losing you through honesty than keep you through deceit. The truth I am about to share does not solely reflect who I used to be, it reveals who I am when no one is watching. You have seen my light, but you have yet to witness my darkness. I am not referring to minor flaws or quirks, but to the long, lonely nights spent staring at the ceiling, haunted by my mistakes, like a song on an endless loop. The reality is that I have feared your awareness of my complete self, worried your love might fade upon seeing the whole picture. I convinced myself it was best to present only the most admirable aspects of myself. Yet, love based on half-truths is not authentic love, it is mere performance. There have been moments I attempted to open up, yet the words would catch in my throat, fearing they would fracture your image of me. You, the one I dreaded disappointing the most. You think I have been strong for you, yet the truth is, you have been the strong one, unknowingly bearing this relationship's weight alongside my burdens. You have placed your trust in me, all the while unaware that trust was something I felt I did not earn. And therein lies the deepest pain. The man you have come to love is indeed a fragment of my being, but he is not all of me. There are scars I have hidden, not from shame, but from fear that you would feel their weight as well. There are selfish and reckless decisions I've made that I have never voiced aloud. The longer I kept them buried, the more I realized I deprived you of the chance to truly choose me. How can one truly choose someone without knowing every truth that shaped them? But I am done with hiding. The truth is, I want to test the depths of your love. I wish to understand if it is resilient enough to support me when I am stripped of all facades. I stand before you, ready to expose my flaws and mistakes, and I hope you will still take my hand. If you are willing and able, I promise you will come to know the real me, unrefined, unfiltered, and raw. No more disguises or pretenses, just me, hoping you will still find something within me worthy of your affection. You may believe you have loved my honesty, yet the truth is, you have only fallen for the version of myself I have allowed you to see. I have let you hold my hand in the light while keeping you distanced from the darker corners of my mind. You have felt my touch, yet you have not encountered the fears that lie beneath it. I have shared my victories with you, while my defeats remained hidden, as though they were too dangerous for you to handle. I convinced myself I was shielding you from my burdens, when, in truth, I was protecting myself from the fear of your potential departure. I have played this role so convincingly that I, too, at times, became convinced of it, a smiling mask hiding the turmoil within, laughter veiling the agonizing memories that haunt me. You thought you were loving a man who had it all figured out, but the reality is that you were loving someone striving to piece himself back together before he could hurt you too. There have been countless moments when I longed to share everything with you, to reveal every scar and wrongdoing, yet the fear of how you would perceive me silenced me. It is not that you will judge me, but rather that you will regard me with the same affection as always, compelling me to believe I am deserving of it. Because, my dear, that represents a form of love I have never allowed myself to embrace until now. You are the only person who has inspired me to take this risk. There is a reason I often looked away when you sought to gaze deeply into my eyes. It was not due to a lack of desire for you to be present, it was fueled by fear of what you might discover with enough attention. You would see the fractures I have attempted to conceal with charisma and half-smiles. You would witness the sleepless nights spent replaying every misguided decision I have ever made. You would sense the truth that has been pleading for vocalization amidst my whispered assurances. This truth is that I have existed in two realms, the one I allowed you to perceive and the one I kept locked away, petrified it would alter our connection. From the moment I encountered you, you illuminated a space I had long kept shrouded in darkness. I yearned to revel in your warmth, to feel it envelop my skin. Yet, I hesitated to expose the coldness that predated your arrival. Thus, I smiled broader, laughed louder, and permitted you to believe that this was my entire self. I now recognize that this was unfair. Genuine love, the transformative kind that reshapes one's essence, requires the entirety of a person, not merely the polished aspects. The reality is that some fragments of me have been molded by anguish. I have faced betrayal, abandonment, and deception from individuals I once thought would remain beside me forever. During my darkest hours, I vowed never to permit anyone the opportunity to inflict that kind of pain upon me again. That is why I have held back, not because you haven't earned my trust, but because my heart instinctively recoils at the thought of vulnerability. Yet, somewhere along this journey, you effortlessly penetrated that armor. Now, I stand here devoid of defenses, recognizing that the prospect of losing you terrifies me far more than the fear of being hurt once more. I often recall the first moment I realized I was falling for you. I reminisce about how you pronounced my name as if it belonged to you. I thought to myself, if they were to vanish, it would never be the same. This notion frightened me deeply, prompting me to conceal my true fears and imperfections, operating under the illusion that I could keep you close by revealing only my best aspects. What I have learned is this: hiding who I am does not safeguard me from losing you, instead, it guarantees that outcome. So, here it is, the unvarnished truth. I am not perfect. I tend to overthink. I experience jealousy. I carry insecurities rooted in previous wounds that still hurt. Occasionally, I retreat when I ought to be open. I can be resolute when confronted with fear. Yes, I have made mistakes that haunt my conscience. Yet, I am also the person who loves you with such intensity that I would sever every connection leading me away from you. I am the one who desires to awaken each day striving to deserve a place by your side. I am the person who, regardless of the storms that beset us, will choose you time and again. If you remain here after all of this, perhaps I have been mistaken about my own nature all along. Perhaps I am not someone who must hide their love to protect it. Maybe I am intended to be entirely known by you. And my dear, if you can embrace the authentic me, the messy, scarred, and imperfect version, then I will dedicate my life to proving your faith in me was justified. If you have journeyed with me through every word, it signifies that you have acknowledged my fractures and chosen to hold me together. For that, I am profoundly grateful. You have been my refuge when my thoughts became a tempest. You have been my motivation to remain open when every instinct urged me to shut down. You have been the enduring light that has refused to extinguish, even during my bleakest nights. Thus, we arrive at this moment where I stand completely unguarded before you. No facades, no rehearsed dialogues, no selective truths, just me, with all the love I have accumulated and all the flaws I have feared revealing. I cannot assure you that I will never falter or that I will never feel apprehensive again. However, I can promise to continue fighting for us. I will prioritize honesty over comfort and you over fear. Before I conclude, I must communicate this. Your support profoundly affects me on emotional levels and beyond what you can imagine. Every time you stay until the end, every comment you share, every small gesture matters more than you realize. If my words have resonated with you, if you feel seen within them, I implore you from the depths of my heart to consider pressing that super thanks button. Even a modest contribution signifies a monumental gesture for me at this moment. If you are able to contribute more, whether it be $100 or even nothing, understand it is not merely assistance. It is an encouragement that sustains my creative spirit, enabling me to continue sharing and loving openly. Your presence assures me that I am not speaking to an empty void, I am connecting with you. Perhaps that is all I ever needed to finally embrace the genuine me. Thank you for allowing me to be myself. Thank you for loving me through my authenticity. No matter what tomorrow holds, a piece of me will always be yours.